get their powder is what we call volley fire. And that's when all the soldiers would load at the same time, and then they would all fire at the same time. In the 18th century, that is your most common means of firing at the opposing force, is volley fire. There was not a whole lot of independent fire. If we were firing from inside a fortification or a structure, that might become the case, but in the field, it was almost entirely volley fire. Now that didn't mean if you had 10,000 troops in a line, all 10,000 would fire at a time, but each company would fire at a time, or each battalion, depending on how you were lined up. So you're looking at least 100 men firing at once. Now, when we say they're firing at once, if it's a 100-man company, typically they're 3 deep or in 3 ranks. The front rank would drop to the knee, the 2 back ranks would remain standing, and then they would all fire at the same time. In this time period, this gun that we're using, the King's Arm, or the Brown Bess musket as it would be later known during the American Revolution, is a 75 caliber smoothbore musket. We're shooting a 69 caliber projectile. So we're shooting a ball that's a little bit bigger than a ½ inch in diameter, or we could shoot 2 of those at once, or we could shoot 1 of those and 4 pistol balls at the same time, so 32 caliber. So in a 100-gun volley, you have the potential of shooting 500 projectiles at the opposing force at one time. Now, the gun, as you may or may not realize, is not super accurate. It is not a rifled weapon. So we are somewhat limited by how that ball travels out of the end of the gun for how long it will travel in a straight trajectory. The guns were aimed to some degree, however, not in the way you think. When you see their guns, you'll see there's a notch on the end of them. That is not a sight. That is where their bayonet locked in place, so when they stab someone with it, it wouldn't pop off, because that's always embarrassing. You jam the bayonet in and it comes off. So that's what it's for. However, at 100 yards, if we shot at you and it hit you, you would wish we hadn't hit you. At 200 yards, we still have an effective kill range. However, we're not going to determine even remotely what it's hitting at 200 yards. Ideally, as the British, we would like our target within 30 yards or closer. So that's a fairly close target. Ideally, we would like them much closer than that. And when you fire that volley, the idea was not truly to just annihilate the opposing force as much as to create enough conflict and casualty for them that their discipline fell apart and they fled the field. We're trying to take the field. At this point, we're not really so much worried about annihilating the opposing force as we are in simply pushing them off the field and taking the field. So, if you're ready,